Let's get started with Tony Bachman, keynoter, report card show, Tony Bachman team, Keller Williams. All right, first report card.
Good morning, Bill.
Started the second half of 2020.
Isn't it amazing? Here we are. We're already halfway through 2020.
Now, I put all my notes together, and Tony never changes it, but this week he changed it just a tad.
Never.
And he was briefing Larry Luetke, who is the president of the association. I didn't even understand the language, and I'm a licensed agent. What were you guys talking about?
Well, we have our own little special language. We deal with a lot of acronyms and that sort of thing. So we try to water that down when we're having conversations with people that don't understand the acronyms. But now you can never say never that I don't change your notes. So I did change your notes just a little bit.
You did,
so.
But I got them late this morning. Late this morning. I was in here at 6.
Right.
So I got them about 6:10.
I didn't. You weren't up at 10:30 last night because that's when I sent them to you. So
I was up, but I didn't see them.
All right.
Didn't go online. I figured you'd send me something on this one because there's been a little notoriety.
There's a lot of activity. A lot of activity when it comes to the real estate market, and one of the other things, the clear cooperation policy that we're going to talk about a little bit. So number one, talking about the stats, what's happening in the marketplace. We're in uncharted territory right now with real estate. I mean, and one of the things, and part of this is we're talking about low interest rates. COVID has contributed to a little bit of this. So we've got a lot of pent up demand right now in the marketplace, and we're seeing that reflected in inventory levels, pending sales.
Is it a buyer's market or a seller's market because of the pent up that you just talked?
It's a seller's market because we are so low on inventory right now, and that's why you're seeing the median price points increase because of supply and demand. So yeah, it's sellers. And I've said this over and over again, is that just because you are a seller and you're going to put it on the market, you still have to make it presentable to maximize your dollars. I mean, yes, people will buy it, but at this point, if you don't clean it up, if you don't touch up, do some of the things, you'll still get hammered on a little bit. All
right, you got notes, and I'm going to put Luetke to work with you early. He's had the briefing. He understands a little bit, and if he doesn't, as the president of the association, we'll make sure he does by the end of this segment. How's that?
I said right away, I told you, I said, Larry's a smart guy. I said, he already knows what I was briefing him about, but I just wanted to, I look at it from a different perspective, so I wanted to give him my little 2 cents. So here's my 2 cents in reference I was just talking to Larry about, is the fact that what we did is just, sometimes we take these weird snapshots of our marketplace and what's happening. And so what I did is I went back 30 days from yesterday, and I said, okay, so how many new listings did we have? We had 664 new listings in our Realtors Association of the Sioux Empire. And in that same 30 days, we had 581 properties that sold, and we also had another 282 that are pending. So that's a total of 863 versus the 664 new listings. So what that translates to is we have our pendings and solds are outpacing new listings by 30%. So that is what we're talking about with inventory being low.
That's not a good sign.
It's going to make it more of a challenge. If this trend continues, it makes it more of a challenge for your buyers, and then it also takes some people that are thinking about selling, and they decide they're going to stay put because they just don't want to have to worry about what the next move is.
The average median price up 7%. Should that startle us?
No, not given the fact that we've had their inventory levels. I mean, it's amazing where, over the last couple of years when it comes to values of properties and homes, and we've talked about in the past where, like with new construction, some of that is translated to land costs because the land costs have increased quite a bit. But I think just median sales price being up, I mean, right now, interest rates being what they are, I mean, I'm hearing stories of people locking in the twos for a, like I had someone that said 2.75 and another person that said they were at 2.5 for a 30-year mortgage. And some of those are either conventional or FHA. So there's, some programs related to that. But you're talking about increasing buyer confidence because they're able to buy more home. So even though the prices have gone up, the affordability index is still risen from last year, meaning that they're able to afford it.
Makes sense to me. All right, Larry, you get quoted in an article along with some other leaders, pillars of the community that were quoted. What was that all about? Jody was on Friday. You heard the interview that we did. So what's up? What difference does it make to the buyers and sellers?
So I'd say about a year and a half ago, our national association started looking at a couple. It was coming from a lot of different markets. There's a lot of lawsuits that were going out there because consumers were not thinking that their agent had their best interest in mind. So the National Association put a task force together and started working on it. They came up with what's called clear cooperation. It's a new policy handed down from NAR that our local association did adopt here back in May. We waited a little bit. We thought maybe there'd be some changes to it. So we waited until the last date that NAR gave us to implement that. And basically what it means is that if you advertise to the public in any form of advertisement, that you have the next business day as a realtor to get that property on the market. And
so basically coming soon doesn't work.
No, but we do have another policy for coming soon that addresses that. I wish we would have rolled those two out in two different time frames,
right?
Because that has confused a lot of our agents. But clear cooperation, as long as it's basically advertised, you have to have it on the next business day. The reasoning for that, what was happening is people would have what's called pocket listings. And what would happen is, an agent would go out and give a price to a seller, say, hey, here it is. They would sign a listing contract. Then they would have a couple buyers that they already had in mind that they would bring through, write up an offer, the offer to get accepted. And basically that listing would go under contract. And honestly, it's up to the seller if they want to do that.
Sure.
But what was happening is people weren't explaining that it's not going to go on the MLS. This is what's called an exclusive listing, where they bring their own people through. And so that was a problem because basically it's the best interest of the seller to put it on the MLS to be able to expose it to the overall market. That is the best thing. Sometimes it's not. I mean, as Jody talked about, there's certain situations that basically people don't want them out there. And you know what? They can still do that. We're not going to enforce hearsay, which if, I know a couple people that do $1 million listings. If I've got a $1 million listing, I know who I'm calling to see who they have that might buy that. You can still do that. It's just basically the biggest thing is just protecting the consumer.
Concern these days with COVID-19, people going through the houses, open houses, or people that want an appointment. And if you have an exclusive listing coming soon, you know who you're going to call, as you mentioned. That may be far safer, but we're not going to be in COVID-19, we hope, for a long period of time.
Yeah, and agents have done a great job of, hand sanitizers in properties, basically just asking people, hey, how are you feeling? I mean, I honestly think that we've done a great job with what we were handed very fast.
Yep.
We looked around the nation what other, cities were doing, and, a lot of them were shut down. So luckily we weren't shut down just because we made a decision to move forward based on the stats that were out there at the time, and we implemented and did different things. So.
But I think as an association, we were very proactive with the conversation. I mean, every brokerage was on board with, hand sanitizer. We kind of had just a general policy about, how we were showing houses, how we were going about it. And if you had a listing where someone had, some major concerns, we were doing virtual showings and that sort of thing. So, and I think the face of real estate has changed because of that. We've taken what probably takes 3 to 5 years to make changes, and we've made those changes in a matter of about 3 to 4 months. I mean, we've all just had to just embrace this, these different technologies, and it's been good. I mean, it's been good for the consumers and good for us as agents.
A lot of times we've been trying to implement this stuff forever, and basically no one would want to do a virtual meeting. We need to come to the office, we need to talk. It has changed everything for us, which has been awesome. We've been trying to do a lot of this stuff for a while, and it did help out to get to that point.
Put your president's hat on for a second. If there are questions about any of this that's been written or spoken or what we talked about today, the best advice is to call your real estate agent to get a clarification of what it means to them.
Well, we hope you use a realtor and not a real estate agent. But
I always do that, don't I? You know, I never have been able to say realtor good enough for Linda Billers or some of those that used to watch me come to the meeting and said, when are you going to learn how to say it? I said, real estate agent. I don't get in trouble.
and just so the public knows, I mean, a realtor.
Tomato.
Yeah,
Realtor is held to a higher standard. We have a code that we follow. And that's where basically this policy just made sense because we are held to a higher standard than an actual what's called a broker associate, which is a license through the state of South Dakota. So, I mean, yeah, reach out to your realtor. You can reach out to the Realtor Association, the Sioux Empire, too, if you have more questions.
We still have the coming soon policy. They've made that, implemented that, where like if you have someone who wants to get their property out there and just get exposure on media, social media, we're not going to be able to do any showings, and we're not going to be able to arrange any showings. So, like, hypothetically, if you wanted to list your home and you said, hey, 2 weeks from today, I'm going to be done with all my painting, cleaning up my house, and so on July 31st, I want to go live, that is the day it goes live. That's the first day that you can show it. But you need to go on. You know, it's really tight with the policy, so you have to be prepared to go on listing, you know, on the MLS.
And just that basically you cannot move that day day forward at all, just so the public knows.
Right.
All right. We're going to let Larry kind of powder his nose a little bit, get ready for Brad with the Home Builders Association. Next 6 months, where are we going?
Fast and furious. We're going to just keep having these conversations about inventory, and we hope things loosen up a little bit. So we're excited. It's a busy market.
And what's this guy doing?
Mr. Derek Christensen he's taking pictures of you as we're sitting here, and we're capturing all this great conversation. We'll put that out on social media also.
All right. Appreciate you guys.
All right. Thank
Larry,
you.
Stay where you are. Brad's on the phone. Thanks, Tony.
Thank you.